Welcome back, everybody, to this new segment we're doing where it's Superman Save the Union Dress Part 2. I saw someone was asking a question of what happened in Part 1. I honestly, I was going to say, do you want to give it an overview? I don't.
Yeah, it's hard to. So basically, with the State of the Unions, since we started the channel, Superman and Dune were timed with exactly kind of like the time that we started talking, and things were playing out. And in both of those, especially Superman, we had, what we always do. We talk about our thoughts, our theories, the patterns we're seeing, and trying to draw conclusions or like make,
Projections.
Projections or assumptions on what we could, or just trying to work out what we were seeing and just wanted to talk about it. Which of course with Superman was incredibly volatile because a lot of people want things to be a certain type of way. And so going into seeing the Superman film coming out, I'm like, cool, at least we now know what it is. At least we now know what this Superman is going to be. We can talk rationally. We can talk to people that we communicate through with like YouTube and just like
and the community,
social media,
the community,
the fandom. We can all discuss it for what it is. Unfortunately, that continues not to be the case. There is an incredible amount of gaslighting. There's an incredible amount of, I wouldn't even say disingenuous, because that's a word that's used very often by people who don't know what it means. There's fraudulent discussions happening. There's a lot of people who are this has been the biggest ousting of people I've ever seen. Like I don't remember seeing something in media, in the fandom, that has made it more apparent who are hypocrites, who outright lie, who purposely misrepresent things. And again, dude, we're all here just talking about how we feel. But when that changes from discussing what I like and dislike, and then becomes a process of trying to project an image of something being something that it clearly is not, that's where I do have a problem with it. And I'm just never going to be somebody who lets people openly lie or frame things in a false way. Like, it's just,
we're going to address it.
So we're going to address it. So yesterday we addressed a lot of that, a lot of the bullshit, a lot of the gaslighting. And again, I love Superman, but I especially love YouTube. The crazy thing is I really enjoy just watching other YouTube channels. I watch YouTube more than I watch, I guess, like regular TV. I don't know anybody who watches regular TV anymore. But my interests are diverse. I think that YouTube is this amazing thing. And especially when it came to movies, shows, and games, if you don't have the exact same interests as your core group of friends, YouTube's amazing because you can go talk to people who share your interests. You can engage in communities that share your interests. But what happens when you find out that those people, or some of them, I say that, it sounds like it's not. No, the great thing is we've also seen an enormous amount of people who have an enormous amount of integrity, that their passion was backed by a sincerity that I think is the most important thing when you have a discussion with anybody. But what happens when you find out that some people are not sincere? People who maybe were voices of what you thought were reason, or actually, and I don't know you want to use the word shill. Shill doesn't do it. It's because it doesn't matter whether or not they have access. It's people who are compromised.
Yeah.
And so that's a big thing of what we talked about. And so the next couple of streams are just us, being able to have honest, sincere, anything goes conversations. There will be no, there's no wrong opinions, but there are facts, and you can't misrepresent facts. And we're not going to do that.
Yes. So that's what I wanted to start off with, to clearly, set the ground rules, like the foundation of this stream. You guys can have whatever opinion you want on Superman. That's your opinion, and that's valid. But
if you're, not to cut you off, but if you're going to just,
talk every time.
If you're just going to state opinions repeatedly without giving any explanation for why you feel the way, then I would then be quiet, dude. Like, you don't have a point.
Yeah.
You just have something you like.
You have an emotion.
Like, if your whole argument is, I like it because I like it, and I don't understand why you don't like it, then, dude, okay, I hear you. Noted. Like, let people who actually want to discuss things talk. because you're not contributing anything, you know?
Yeah, like we're not attacking your opinion. You can like the movie if you want
Yeah.
to like the movie.
And again, that's another thing we're going to talk about. The incredible thin skin of people when it comes to talking about this Superman film. Because after a decade of people unapologetically open season railing on Man of Steel, God forbid you don't say that James Gunn hasn't made a masterpiece, because the meltdowns are insane. We were on a stream last night on the Angry Badger, and the panel was saying that the film's not especially good. It's mid. It's underwhelming, whatever. And people are like, you guys are just haters. You guys are just undeterred haters. Guess what, dude? The Gunn fandom is the most unhinged group I've ever seen. And I don't know if it was just because the Snyder Bros have been so openly hated for so long that it masked it. The delusion of some Gunn fans. And again, if you can't tell the difference between the extreme idiots who like James Gunn and can't defend why, but follow him like jihadis, and regular fans who just like him, then, you know, this might not be a stream where you're going to have a whole lot of fun. But
yeah, because we're going to point that out.
Because we're going to point out it's another form of hypocrisy.
But let me welcome everybody to the chat real quick before we get even further into this. But welcome. Thank you for being here.
And as always, it will feel heated, but we're having fun, you know? So even if we get passionately and you think we're getting angry, we're not angry. We're just, this is what we like doing.
We care. We're passionate about the fandom. Okay. But yeah, Chris Robertson, welcome. He says, I really enjoyed last night. I don't normally watch live streams like that, but again, for the first time ever, I got involved. So we'll definitely be watching again tonight. Thank you. Happy you're here.
And by the way, yesterday, what we did was we have some loose, I mean, we have a lot of thoughts, like an unending amount of thoughts. But what we're also doing is the comments that you guys are dropping, you know, we're reading out, but some of them, if we don't read them out, we're starring them because they're worthy of being a topic. And so yesterday we were pulling up some of y'all's comments, and those were the framework. This is kind of like a town hall, I guess. Because I don't know if
a Q&A.
I don't know if they take questions at the State of the Union.
Probably not,
but town hall doesn't sound as cool as State of the Union, so it's still a State of the Union.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Joshua Reese, welcome. Says good afternoon, everyone. Happy Saturday. Hope you all have a blessed, amazing, wonderful, awesome day today, and hope your day is also filled with lots of love and warm, amazing hugs. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Let's start with some positivity, you guys. What's up, Sergeant Daratina? Top of the afternoon. Tony, Collector, Movie Man, welcome. Got Rocket Raider. Justin Patton, have a blessed stream. Thank you. Extreme Meme. Got Daniel Larison. How's everyone doing today? Good. It's Saturday. It's raining, but you know, I think it's gonna rain forever. Terrace House Guy, what's up? He says lock and load, folks, because it's round 2 of 3.
Mm-hmm.
Got the voice protagonist. Bum. What's up, Chimera?
Yeah,
you want to address that right now, or I was gonna come back to it? Okay,
let's start that because I do want to come back to it, but still read it out.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't reading out things we're coming back to, but
well, how would they know that you're not ignoring it, Katie?
It's because you literally said if we don't read it out, we're coming back to it.
But
Start
on
it.
Screen.
To say his name.
Dear God.
Okay, you know what?
Read it.
Kamira says it's funny how Superman's benchmark is reaching Man of Steel's box office without the adjusted inflation price.
Yep,
I agree.
We'll
be addressing that. Sensory overload of Adam and Man of Steel is still superior. Holy crap. I appreciate that you changed your name because I think it's hilarious that you changed it depending on the movie that's out. But that was rougher than usual. Guys, OMG, this film. It was going so good and it absolutely nosedives, absolutely fails in the third act. Which is funny because I've heard the complete opposite where like the first act sucks and then it just completely soars after that.
Almost like people are divided.
Yeah. Gaslighting in the YouTube space, Andy, that's crazy. You're crazy for thinking that.
No, I do. And to touch on that, I do think, yeah, I'm probably a bit naive. I honestly, because we've never, again, we get accused of it all the time because we say what we feel. And when people don't like what we feel, they're upset. But I've always assumed, no, that'll all blow over once the film comes out. The channel, we haven't had this channel for very long. And this is the first time we've been at like we've been able to witness the entire cycle of news and witness the fallout after it comes out. So I never realized that, people just continue to lie. People will double down because it's not about being honest It's about being correct. And I didn't realize that so many people are trying to build reputations here. Again, that's me probably being stupid and naive. I thought that this was a fun thing that we do where we want to talk about movies and shows. I didn't realize that people are trying to have careers where they want to be taken seriously
as an
for
authority.
being right. And so that's another thing we're going to talk about. Dude, we've made so many predictions that were laughed at, and we know specific people who have like disagreed and then now are trying to backdoor being like, oh, well, you know, maybe this is what it is. And I'm like, oh, that's funny because when we said it, you said we were fucking crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's up, Draconis? Welcome. We got Almighty Uaxis, first time chatting it live after like 30 playbacks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm happy you're here. Rock Raider said there's a massive split opinion on Superman.
Thank you. And I understand that you like it. So I appreciate you acknowledging that because that's something we can't even agree on either. There's a segment of, I don't even know if they're real because we've talked about bots a lot lately.
Yep.
That I don't think they're even capable of understanding that just because you get a bunch of people to flood Rotten Tomatoes at early fan screenings to inflate the score, that makes it a great film. Because even people who like it, a lot of them, their opinion is, it was fine.
Well,
I went in with low expectations and it was fine. It's like, does that sound great to you?
Zhao Yinlin, welcome, says, yeah, I've heard so many people say it's bad by every metric, but give it a high score.
Another weird thing that we're going to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah. I believe that is everybody. What's up, Elijah City?
Somebody asked up there, do we read or watch manga or anime? Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're currently watching Danadan. I like it. Kitty does not.
I'm getting into it, okay?
No, it's not. Kitty does not. Peter likes it, though.
It's not my favorite.
But Peter likes every anime. Like, Peter's an idiot. Like, he has no taste.
Yeah.
If it's anime, he'll like it. So his opinion doesn't matter.
Good point, Terrace. Yeah. So the entire point of the State of the Union series is being able to see the wood for the trees, pattern recognition, and all that. Are people being disingenuous? Plus a wider conversation. So that's what this.
That's a much better way to put it. Yeah,
I know.
Because it
sums it up much better.
It's not, and if you were here yesterday, it's not just about Superman. It's about everything surrounding this film and what we're noticing. Because a lot of people have outed themselves as bad actors in this space.
Yes, and this point's really good. Rucker says, "I will never understand why these people care more about the director than the actual movie they produce."
Yep, it's almost like a cult.
Okay, I don't know if we're gonna go through the film today, sensory overload.
Yeah, we could. How many people in the chat have seen the film? Because I don't want to. I don't ever want to spoil anything.
We might go through it scene by scene tomorrow.
I don't know if they mean that. I think so. Do you mean go through it scene by scene, or are we talking about going through like kind of?
I'm saying like,
each
an
act
over.
or each,
Yeah.
Tell us what you mean by let's go through the film, because we kind of went through it yesterday, and I don't think it spoils it. And again. We will do our best if there's something that specifically is a spoiler, but I will tell you, and maybe this is technically a spoiler, if you've seen the trailer, you've seen almost every beat from the story.
Yeah.
Like you've seen every highlight from the film, so there's really not a whole lot to spoil.
Lunch Tray Boy, welcome.
Mine is maybe one, but
yeah. Guys, shy talk. Greetings, travelers. Again.
Greetings, traveler.
Brown Destroyer, what's up?
Yeah, this is a dark movie. When I bought this, Katie and Peter like, that's gonna be so stupid, and it arrived, and Peter's like, holy shit, that's fucking
What's up, David Seddy? And thank you so much. I appreciate it. We've become his favorite channel this year. I don't know how, because we're ridiculous and we usually fuck up on shit, but thank you. I appreciate it.
Right. Thank you. We've already got 30 people chilling with us. Thank you so much. Be sure to hit the like button.
Yes. Tyrese Clans, welcome. I'll get back to that.
Yeah.
Thank you, movies. Welcome. Okay, yes, I promise I'm not gonna be able to. I'm behind in the chat, by the way, also so much. What's up, W Mir? This film is dead internationally. Jurassic World crossed 400 million in just 9 days. Did it really?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't know that. Thanks for the information. All right, you want to start with what we have so far and then go from there? What's up, Tish and Joseph Landman? Got David Johnson.
Oh, what's up, Dragon Master Zero? Thank you so much for the 5 Home Dual Shop memberships. Usually when we get into the heat of these things, we kind of put a pause on playing some of our bumps because they're a little distracting. I don't know if you guys have seen them. They're a little distracting. But because we haven't gotten into it, let's have one kind of big honorary thank you to Dragon Master Zero because he's amazing. He's always doing, as I think Terrace calls them, the drive-by, drive-by gifties. And thank you so much, Dragon Master Zero. And hit him with a good one.
I broke the law in Madrid, and I'll do it again. I got a bitch in every city that I ever been. I thought the money would do something for the sadness in me, but I'm deeper in the abyss than I have ever been. I got 2 million other tracks that all sound like this. So this flow is for the kids that all miss that shit. But really, I can give a fuck what anybody miss. I'm too chaotic and the music don't reflect that shit. You think you got it? Oh, you think.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Dragon Master Zero. You're a legend.
Okay, Drew, welcome. He says, please spoil it for me. I never asked for this movie. And it looks like everyone else pretty much has said they've seen it.
Yeah, somebody said that beat causes involuntary head bobs. It really does. Like, you don't want to like it, but it reminds me of what's his name? Keith in The Righteous Gemstones. He goes, and then the beats took me. You weren't here, and then the beats took me.
Tish said I watched season 1 of Invincible, so I've practically seen the film.
Yep.
That's hilarious. Okay.
Sadly, that's not far off.
Yeah. Let's jump into it. But yes, if you guys haven't liked the stream yet, please like the stream. Let everyone else know we're streaming. And then we'll have some more people trickle in here.
Yep. All
right. So.
Ooh.
And anyone I missed, I apologize, but I can only do so much.
Just spoil it harder.
He hasn't seen it yet, but he said he's fine. Oh my gosh. And thank you.
Thank you, Draconis. It's an honor to be compared to our friend the DA. And anyway, even if it's just a music taste. You know who does not have the best music taste? James Gunn. You know how I know? Because James Gunn not only has spent an entire career posting the most... Dude, it's not that the music's bad, by the way. It's just obvious.
No, it doesn't fit though.
No, sometimes it does. See, you're being.
Okay, so
you don't.
I personally do not think it fits with the scenes that are on screen.
In this film, not at all.
That's what I'm talking about. Career, this film. I'm talking about this film. The music's not good.
I'm saying across his career, he has been known as kind of like the DJ of Hollywood, which, you know, the Guardians had some great songs in Guardians 1. But then when you start diving deeper and deeper into his music, you start to see a little bit of like an edgelordness to it. And that would be fine if we were continuing to make silly films like The Guardians. You know, if you wanted to do Peter Quill, and look, now Peter Quill has evolved from like kind of that 70s stuff, you know, that his mom made him, just that feel good jams. And now he's getting into like punk rock. And then if you want to do like an aging one, is like now finally hitting like Nirvana and 90s grunge, that would be kind of funny. The thing is, because of this obsession of his with constantly putting his needle drops, which I want to talk about that was promised that he wasn't going to do that. When people said, hey, one of my now proven to be absolutely valid, absolutely correct, we should have seen it coming concerns was, people said, I like James Gunn, but I'm a little worried that his need to put modern music in it will lead to needle drops in a Superman film, and I don't think needle drops work. And so you would think that normal people say, yeah, no, that is definitely a proclivity of his. We should ask him about that. Instead, the internet flooded saying James Gunn would never do that. He knows that that's not right for Superman. And so it was the beginning of this constant state of lying and dishonesty surrounding James Gunn by people who've never met James Gunn, saying James Gunn would never do that because James Gunn's going to make the perfect film. This constant idea that James Gunn is going to do things that James Gunn's never done before. Are you trying to hit this?
No, just leaving it up till when you're done.
You look like you got something to say.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, you guys, hit the like button and subscribe, obviously, if you haven't already. And then later on tonight at 6, we're gonna do a members only watch party for Kill Bill on our channel and on the Discord. So if you're a member, make sure you join. And then I love this. Yeah. What? You mean you don't like the Mighty Crab Joys?
It's not about not liking them, dude. And that's the funny thing. So James Gunn actually put out a list of music. He put out playlists for all of the actors or for all the characters. And in a sad way, he looked more excited talking about his music than he is talking about any of the things that actually matter for this film, for Superman. So when he talks about Superman, it's very somber. It's very, you can tell that he's trying to project a sense of, I understand the task. Because, by the way, how do I know that? Because clearly from the narrative, from the very inorganic narrative that you will see, and make a mental note when you hear anybody say this: James Gunn understood the assignment and he delivered. Because that has been said from the media, that was said from Warner Brothers, that was said from the executives, that was said long before this film ever came out. That actually started when the first round of leaks came out, that the test screenings did not go exceedingly well, that this wasn't the most perfect movie ever made. But again, we've had to endure this very clearly idiotic narrative that James Gunn's so good, and I love James Gunn for James Gunn, but James Gunn's going to crush it because James Gunn's gonna not be James Gunn, and I'm also gonna love it. And
Because James Gunn never misses.
because James Gunn never misses doing what James Gunn does.
And unfortunately, James Gunn did what James Gunn always does, and it was a miss because what James Gunn does doesn't fit with Superman.
Yeah. So there are needle drops in this, something that his most ardent fans said we're not going to be in this. There is a scene with Mr. Terrific, and most people, I think, will find that, yes, is it a whimsical, silly scene with Mr. Terrific? Yeah, but it also kind of dates the film, and more than anything, it takes you out of it because it feels like Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, again, if you wanted to see Guardians of the Galaxy 4 starring Superman, you got exactly what you wanted. You did. But for a year, we often said, it was trending. It was looking like James Gunn was going to make a Guardians of the Galaxy 4. And that elicited an enormous amount of anger
And
from his
pushback.
fans, who only like James because of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Which is crazy because that's clearly what he did. What's up, Joshua Wax? Welcome to the chat. And yeah, Emperor Goen said, that's where you failed. You believed Warner Brothers,
Yeah.
which is so true. We've talked constantly on this channel about how Warner Brothers is a awfully run company. They are not to be trusted. They lie all the time. They change things out. They generally don't let directors do what they're supposed to. Well, they generally don't let directors do what they want to do. But then on top of that, James Gunn lies all the time.
Yeah.
He's been caught in multiple lies.
And again, I know lie is a word that upsets people. James Gunn says things that immediately come out to not be true. And then he admits that they're not true. If that allows you to sleep better at night because we didn't specifically say James Gunn lies, then cool. I'm fine with making that compromise. But James Gunn speaks untruth. Is that fair? Can we all agree that the things that he says do not come to be, or do not come to be as he says they will be? I want to hit that. That is a great comment from our stud. Yeah, Gangs of the Galaxy. Yeah. Read this one. This is phenomenal.
What we may never know is how pushback and criticisms led to it being an improved movie. Like I always say, marketing feedback is gold.
This has been one of the, and I love that. Thank you so much, Arset. That has been one of the key points that we've made since we started talking about Superman, since we talk about anything. If we are not going to give feedback, then you're just a consumer. If you are no better if you do not talk about things beforehand, if you do not discuss the quality after, you are no better than someone that waits in the line at McDonald's, gets a wrong order and eats it anyways. Like, that's who you are. That is fine. Many people do not care, but understand that many of us do. And by the way, criticism, if you're not thin-skinned, if you're not falling into this stupid Hollywood lie that anybody who has a critique for your film is a hater. By the way, that used to be something we joked about on the internet. Like, only idiots would sit there and call everybody haters. Now, it's unironically used by Hollywood as their main deflection from valid criticism. But if you can't understand that, people being invested enough to tell you things that they don't like about your film before that film comes out, that is the best chance you have of mitigating disaster, then you're an idiot. You're an absolute idiot. And we have evidence in this film of how they heard feedback. Like the example. People saw Superman get hit in the back of the head with a can and be like, that's fucking stupid.
Where he flinches.
I don't like it. And that was met with a bunch of people trying to explain, trying to headcanon. And we're going to get into that. I'm actually going to make a note of idiot headcanon because that has been one of the defining features of this film. But people tried to explain why it might not be a big deal, that he was just reacting. It doesn't matter. in cinema, in art, in literature, certain characters hold a certain perception. And if you deviate too far from that perception, you're not writing that character. For a large majority of the people that know Superman, they expect Superman to be impervious to harm. And when you get hit in the head with something and you flinch, that is perceived as him feeling pain, or at least acknowledging it. It's just stupid. It shouldn't have been in there. And so all they did, and by the way, if you actually look at that scene, that was just let's look at how sad Superman scene is. And it is a sadder scene if Superman reacts to it. I will not argue that. But
in context, you're like, well,
it's an emotionally manipulative scene.
Yeah.
Because again, what you're doing is you're changing Superman in order to make the scene that you want to make work. So you're not working with the same set of cards that everybody else has to. But they took it out. People didn't like it, but they took it out after a lot of people explained it, attacked others for just being haters. How do you think the people that defended that scene feel now that it was taken out? Because those same people who made up their mind 2 years ago that this film was going to be perfect, when they saw the point in the trailer where he gets hit with the can and flinches, said that was perfect, now are still saying that the film is perfect. So how can it be perfect even though it's changed?
But it's the same thing with the flying scene.
Yeah, which, by the way, they left in. They locked.
Yeah. The
flying scene is in there. But James Gunn didn't like the heat because he knows it's trash. The other thing is, just while we're kind of on the weirdness about this film and how terrible some of the VFX are, the shoe scene that we caught a bot, or if not a bot, the just most mentally deranged person in the world defending, that is still in the fucking film, guys. That whole sequence where we were in the theaters, there was little to no laughs the entire time we were in the theaters. But the scene with the dog biting at Superman's ankle and him flinching and going, no.
Quit crypto.
That was getting no laughs until when the scene ends and he gets away.
And he goes to move his foot.
And the foot extended. And it tells you that enough people have seen that clip circulating the internet, especially amongst like super fans, and it wasn't a laugh of, oh, that's a funny scene. It was a chuckle of disbelief of like, oh, like,
I can't believe they left that in there.
It was like a cringe, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that the shoe going from a size 11 to 23 shoe. I can't believe that still made it. And it was noticeable in the trailer. It is so freaking noticeable on a
IMAX screen. Yeah.
Caught in the IMAX, baby.
What's up, Rafa? Welcome. Darstud. Oh my god, yeah. I forgot we didn't even mention it. Darstud said, I hope the director's cut has mutant monkeys. Homie, it's in the original.
It's in the real film. Yeah.
Yeah. So they left the mutant monkeys, they left the hashtag super shit, and them being in the pocket dimension where he has all of them trying to create discourse online against Superman. That's in the film.
Yeah. But yeah, so this film would have absolutely been better if they had listened to the rampant discourse saying, James Gunn, please show some fucking restraint. If that had not been met with a bunch of fangirls saying like, hey, no, James Gunn's perfect. Y'all are just haters. Y'all are just Snyder bros. Do you know how many people, by the way, hate Snyder and James Gunn? I don't think that's talked about enough.
Yeah.
You can like either, but I do want to say that neither Snyder nor James Gunn is held in the highest realm of directors. Can we please stop talking about James Gunn like he's a Christopher Nolan or a Denis Villeneuve? Like, he's not, dude. If you need to pretend that he's making masterpieces to convince yourself that you're not watching slop when he puts out slop, then that says a lot more about you. Because I guarantee you, he would never dare to claim that he is amongst the greats when it comes to directors. He is such a mediocre director. And again, that's something that we've been fighting about, the idea of mediocrity.
Yes.
Average, mid. That is not an insult. Most things in life are mid. Most things in life are serviceable. The problem is when someone serves you a McDonald's fucking hot and spicy and tries to tell you that it's gourmet. And that's what's happened with this film. The expectations were out of fucking control. I was told to go into this with no expectations. I did go into it with no expectations. At least I thought I had. And somehow I was still disappointed because I thought he would just have made Guardians of the Galaxy. This is the worst of even his Guardians films.
Did want to address this because, yes, Kemper Godin said clearly Gunn missed that, just like the scenes in the trailer. It's perfectly understandable that you would totally overlook basic shots in your make or break movie.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to probably where we should go next into. You guys, this movie is important. It's setting up the universe. And I've heard people try and run any type of excuse of they weren't looking at as the intro to a new universe. They're just grading it on the film as itself. And so it wasn't a big deal that the film was. I'm sorry, I just got so distracted by whatever the fuck was going on there. It wasn't a big deal that the film was just okay because they don't see it as setting up a universe, which doesn't make any sense when that's clearly what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Additionally, this situation was this. Peter.
Deal with that. 'Cause is that what's supposed to be going on?
I know. I'll be right back, guys.
Yeah. Sorry. Sorry. Other stuff's going on at the same time.
Just keep going through the comments.
But there's every excuse of whether it's, yeah. I'm just gonna go to the other comments. Sorry, that was just so. All right. And thank you, David said, yeah. So the goalpost just keeps moving. It's whether or not when you talk about the film, they're like, oh, I liked most of it. And but then when you get into the actual specific scenes, they'll point out like multiple things they didn't like. I'm like, okay, but then what did you like? And they're like, oh, overall it was still okay. I was like, yeah, but you just pointed out like 10 specific scenes that you didn't like in the film or characters that you didn't really resonate with. So how could you overall like the film? And then it's like, okay, well, if you nitpick at that, then they're like, okay, but I really liked Mr. Terrific or I really like Lois Lane. But then when you actually point out like this is supposed to be the Superman film, then it becomes a completely different discussion. I'm not even going to go into that. iDog, what's up? He says, I thought the comedy and tone would be the worst part, but it was the pacing, world building. Yes, but I would also contradict that a little bit just because I feel like the comedy kind of went against the pacing. Because anytime you would try and get into a scene where they were trying to be heartfelt or they wanted you to be emotionally invested in what was going on, it would be undercut by comedy. So that plays into part of the pacing. And then the world building, that was probably going to be a problem for just in general because they didn't spend enough time building up the world. And I don't think the intro scene does enough to set you into the scene or where the world that you're supposed to be in. What's up, Michael? Welcome. And yeah, another good point. Yeah, they made it seem like this movie would make or break DC Studios if Superman wasn't good. Yet now we're hearing that it only needs to make $500 million from the studio and that they're more invested in whether or not the film is widely received well. But then when you actually break down like because for some reason, the Rotten Tomatoes scores is what everyone wants to keep coming back to. But then when you actually delve deeper into the Rotten Tomatoes scores, I don't think people understand how Rotten Tomatoes scores even work. A 95% on an audience score does not mean 95% people thought it was like a 10 out of 10.
No, it doesn't mean it's a 9.5 out of 10. And that is what is purposefully. The thing is,
purposely misunderstood. Yeah.
A film that has a lower Rotten Tomatoes score, but is a big part of the cultural zeitgeist or just part of the zeitgeist, oftentimes does better than slop that people just say, yeah, no, it's fine. You can tell because there's a lot of crap that Netflix puts out that just easily gets a really good score. Nobody ever talks about it. It just comes and goes. It's just consumed.
Exactly.
You don't have a lot of discourse again.
That was my fault.
That was Katie
That was my
again,
fault.
showing that she cannot run.
I hit the mouse button, I promise. I'm
hit
sorry.
The mouse button.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Continue your saying.
Yeah.
But you guys, I'm way behind, so there's more people watching right now. But hit the like button, please. But go ahead with what you're saying.
No. Yeah, you don't need to dissect. You don't need to discuss a Happy Meal. And I think that that's what we're seeing. A lot of people knew. So maybe let me know if I'm being too harsh here, guys. I think a lot of people knew they wanted slop. I think a lot of people knew that they did not care about quality. And I know a lot of people have had problems with Henry Cavill, Brendan Routh, but none of the way that those movies were discussed is being applied by a certain segment of, I don't even know if I'd call them fans. Can you be a fan of something if you don't think about it, guys? Like that, should that be like what we're talking about next? Are you actually a fan of something if your entire feeling is it's good, it's the thing I always wanted, but then you can't explain why?
Or are you just a general consumer?
For this Superman, it is such an over-course correction. It's like they heard. I'm split on, because James Gunn says he didn't want to do Superman. He turned this down, by the way. He didn't want to do it. You know, they called 3 times and he denied 3 times until he figured that he could do it if he went through the realm of crypto. Like his only way to access this character was through crypto. But I don't even know if that's true. That just sounds like more Hollywood bullshit. I honestly get the feeling, because he is so often online, that he found pockets of people that really hated Man of Steel and hated what the DCU was doing with being a more grounded and gritty attempt at superhero films. And he said, I can do the opposite of this. And even if I make a shitty film, it won't matter. And this is me, posturing what I think he was thinking on the front end. It won't matter, because everything will be protected by people who need it to be good. And that's pretty much how it's played out. If you go back at every article that was written, you can see all the times that they would say something and it was like a hallmark. It felt like they were reading somebody who has like Zack Snyder derangement syndrome, which is of course the opposite of someone who's a Snyder bro. Is, you have people who love Zack Snyder too much and can't admit when he makes huge mistakes in his films. But you also have people that hate Zack Snyder so much that retroactively they'll pretend that they didn't like films that they have openly liked, which again has been a weird thing on the internet. A lot of people who have reviews have gone back and deleted reviews they've done that might call into question the legitimacy of their opinion surrounding this film.
And doesn't that sound sketchy?
Yeah.
So just a little bit. Daniel Larison, thank you so much for the 5 Window Shop memberships. So any memberships, super chats, anything moving forward, we'll play clips at the very end just so we don't interrupt the conversation.
Yeah. But we greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much, Daniel.
There's also a super chat from Chimera for $2. Says 3 flops incoming. Supergirl and Clayface is next.
Yeah. So we talked about this. I had to go check on Peter. But I'm assuming you talked about this narrative that it doesn't need to make money now.
Yes.
This is one of the most insidious things I've seen, because, and it doesn't seem, I totally get why people don't understand why this matters. But look where we were. Look at how corporations have twisted the minds of people who used to talk about films. We used to talk about films on the most basic sense of, did we like them or not? We would just hang out, at school. And if you like a film, if I like a film, it was like, you're an idiot because you like it. You're an idiot because you don't like it. That was the purest form of fandom of, Katie, you like Fast and Furious. What are you, retarded? And you're like, Andy, you like Star Wars. What are you, retarded? And it was a purity to that. Everybody was on equal footing. It was fine. At some point you get to where, you start looking for a group consensus. And that makes sense. Like, Katie, well, me and all my friends like it. You're dumber than us. And you're like, no, well, me and all my friends like it. You're dumber than us. Again, so we understand that. That kind of escalated into, again, appeals to authority. Like, oh, well, Siskel and Ebert liked it. So, they have good taste in music. They have good taste in movies. So you don't have good taste in movies if you don't like it. Again, still that people talking amongst people. I have no problem with that, because that's just human nature. Like, people will always seek to find validation in the crowd. Again, the madness of the crowd, the genius of the crowd. It leads many people astray, but it's a normal human behavior. What is not normal is people defending a thing that they like based on, did it make money? Okay. That is where you lose me. Followed closely by people who say, I like the thing I like, and it's good because it's validated by Rotten Tomatoes, which is a thing that we know is compromised. The bots and again, it's not that they're all bots. It's just we know they're bots. They've been caught using bots. They've caught bribing people. Why are we using an illegitimate thing anymore?
Well, we've seen people use other people's reviews where it looks like it's repeated word for word and just copied and pasted on multiple different accounts.
And so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But just the fact that Rotten Tomatoes would be inadmissible. Like if you think about like the dumbest courtroom drama you've ever seen, the bombshell evidence was like, oh, well, this says that it's got a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, it's a really good film. It goes, did you know that we caught him paying people in Sizzler gift cards to give good reviews? And they'd be like, oh no, and the jury would lose their minds and they'd be like, throw it out, he'd be acquitted, he'd be like, this is bad evidence. That would be your bombshell evidence. The fact that we still use things like Rotten Tomatoes blows my mind.
And I too like Popular Thing.
Yeah.
Anakai says Warner Brothers Discovery owns part of Rotten Tomatoes, and then does Amazon owns part of owns all of IMDb?
There's a trail of ownership that leads to Fandango, which leads to what counts as a verified audience score.
Yeah,
that tells you that dude, this is a compromise thing. This is fucking stupid. It is not an organic platform. Neither is IMDb, by the way, which is owned, I think, by Amazon. If I'm correct.
Yeah.
When people continue to use sources that we know are compromised, you have to assume that they themselves are compromised. Like it is. Like nobody should be using something that they know is failed. But back to the main point. Again, all of that is just people kind of being stupid or people wanting to win an argument based on, like everyone says, I also like the popular thing. Cowards seeking the comfort of the crowd. I have no problem with that. That's human nature. It's just a sign of the weak-minded when you need to be on the right side of a group liking something, Mm-hmm. It's called being a bandwagon fan, by the way. You wouldn't respect somebody who they just always seem to side with whatever team's winning in the NFL in a year. What's worse, though, is this appeal to money. A corporation saying, oh, the film was good because it made $1 billion. And don't get me wrong, because that washed through internet discourse, you did have to discuss that because that became the benchmark. A truly successful film made $1 billion. But it was also used for why they could say, look, we had to cancel certain things because it did make money. And so all of a sudden, we stopped talking about whether or not we like something. We stopped having that personal connection on our likes and dislikes and the value we see in these things. And it becomes about, did it do well? Did it earn the studio money? All of a sudden, dude, this sounds like we're in a boardroom for Warner Brothers, which is trash. That's not a good night. Thank you so much, Chimera. Which is trash. I don't want to be talking about my preference of movies based on how much money it makes a corporation that I do not care about. But at least that made intuitive sense of something making money, right? After bastardizing the way people talk about film, now we are letting them strip that away and say, hey, an entire segment of the internet has spent years talking about films making money and losing money. And as of a couple of days ago, none of that matters anymore.
Yeah, we no longer care about money.
We don't care about money anymore. And we're left with, it doesn't matter. Oh, it doesn't matter if it loses hundreds of millions of dollars. The rules don't matter for this. It just matters if it's well received by the very metric, Rotten Tomatoes, which has been caught red-handed being compromised. So we as a studio can justify our existence to our shareholders, not by the money we earn, but by the very compromised score that we can absolutely manipulate. And we're just fine with that. So fans aren't talking about it based on merit. We're not allowed to talk about it based on quality. People that own Warner Brothers stock are being misled because it's, I mean, dude, you're having a company be like, oh, it's fine if it loses money. And again, none of this has been allowed up until now. And people are just eating it up. And I don't understand. None of it makes sense. You're not you're not foolish for not giving it, because that's another thing that they often do. They'll say, oh, well, you're looking at it too surface level. No, as someone who delves into numbers a lot, as someone who for work has done that a lot, when someone is trying to shift the narrative like this, when they're trying to change the numbers, by the way, perfect example, what killed Enron was they were able to convince people to go to mark to margin. This idea that we're able to just count our chickens, before they hatch. And so when something seems unintuitive and it doesn't line up and it's so out of keeping with the way that we usually do things, you should be very skeptical. And in this case, it's very clear why they want us to not evaluate this film. And again, this is not a Superman thing. I know people are going to hear it's like, this is hate on Superman. No, this is people sacrificing the things they like in pursuit of helping a corporation spin a yarn to build a narrative that they're successful with zero metrics that are outside their control.
Yeah. Welcome to everybody who's just trickled in. Hit the like button, please, if you haven't already. I do want to address this because Rock Raider said, y'all talk about money in regards to film a lot. I know it's important, but I've never cared about it because it's never been relevant to my enjoyment of movies. So completely understand it not being relevant to your enjoyment of movies. But
no, that's literally what I'm saying. It's not
it shouldn't come into your
But by the way, don't pretend like people aren't validating bad films saying that they made a lot of money. And it's very suspicious now that those types of people are trying to give a bunch of off-ramps for why this doesn't need to make money.
Especially when, and Burgoyne says, I really think the discourse around this movie has been driven by comic book movie fans desperately hoping that Superman and Fantastic Four don't kill the Cape movie for a decade.
Yes. Double star that so we can come back, because I do want to talk. Actually, that's very close to a point I have, Emperor Goodwin, that I want to talk about.
Dragon Master Zero, thank you so much for the $10 super sticker. It's a flying superhero pair.
Thank you. But yeah, because we're going to talk about why we think this is happening. But hits through some of the comments, and we'll do that as a separate topic.
Ricardo says, I feel that the ending is a great ending for a movie we actually didn't see. Are you talking about the Supergirl ending?
He's talking about just the ending with Ultraman.
Oh, okay. So yeah, for a movie we didn't actually. So the film is very disjointed. I feel like it is not written well. It doesn't lead up to get to that scene where you feel invested. So the ending of the movie, I wouldn't say it's even bad. It just doesn't flow well with the rest of the movie we saw.
Go through the general comments that we have, though.
There's not stuff to.
Nobody had anything thoughts. Yeah.
What's up, Uncle T? Going to watch the end and see if you feel the same.
Yeah.
David said after Avengers made that $1 billion in 2012, it was over.
100%,
yeah.
Look, and the reason we talk about $1 billion films is because it mattered to the studios. Okay?
It always
it's
has.
An impressive number. But, dude, there are films that have done exceedingly well in the past that were not validated exclusively based. Dude, when Titanic came out, people liked that film. It was a huge success. People didn't say, oh, I hate Titanic. And you didn't have idiots being like, oh, well, it made the most money ever. You're a fucking idiot.
Yeah. Terry said, I wonder where the accounting firm Arthur Anderson is now. What's up, Mad Max says they have no morals. We're seeing the snarky Hollywood mentality in real time. Snaky, sorry. Constant goalpost moving. Yep. What's up, Rockefeller? Says, you know what's cooler than $1 million, Andy?
$1 billion. What's up, Rockefeller? Every time I see him, he's like, you know what's cooler?
Naima says, yeah, they try to manipulate people to go into the theaters when it comes out to the Rotten Tomato scores. 100%. It's why they're like, oh, it's so great.
Yeah.
JC says the monologue is stupid and shows you can't write a character. Yeah,
I agree.
So there's more exposition dumps and people telling you what's going on or what happened in a scene that we never see in this movie than any other movie I think I've ever seen.
Yeah. And that's another sign that people are not being honest about this film. We know many YouTube critics tear apart films for the need for relying on exposition.
Yeah.
For dumping exposition. This is a near continuous stream of exposition, but because they say it's comic booky, we just say, oh, that's cool. Yeah, we didn't adapt anything, by the way. We just ripped shit from the comics. And again, as we talked about yesterday, if that's the goal, then they didn't even do it as well as the people who've done it better, dude. Go watch Sin City. That does a much better job of making a comic, like a graphic novel, a comic booky, page to screen looking film.
Tara said 70 plus viewers in here. Y'all know what to do. Hit the like button.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm dying. The weather is kicking up so much pollen.
Yeah, there's a lot of
I'm not
allergies.
This atmosphere hurts me. I'm not acclimated to this American pollen.
Tish said sad because nothing has been more damaging to the American comic book industry than the explosion of superhero movies.
Yeah. So let's go back to Emperor Goodwin's comment. Yeah. So Emperor Goodwin says, I really think the discourse around this movie has been driven by comic book movie fans desperately hoping that Superman and Fantastic Four don't kill the Cape movies for a decade. I 100% agree. I think that even when someone's being dishonest, sometimes I think they think they're being dishonest for the right reason. I don't even know if they know they're being dishonest. But there is a franticness. There is a desperation in the way that they are talking about these films. And there's levels to this. Of course, there are people who want Superman to be the one to save Hollywood and save, Warner Brothers and save superhero
DC,
films.
yeah.
There are people that want Fantastic Four to save Marvel and save. They're still fanboying, Marvel, DC, hating one another fandoms. But there's also a contingent of just bland. Oftentimes, people like me who are older people, in their 50s and 60s, who they're too invested in the industry. And because the industry has become too reliant on superhero films, I think they're not looking at this Superman film in terms of, is it good? Did they demonstrate, that they can write well, that they can write dialogue well, that they can shoot scenes well? Did they demonstrate any mastery of cinema? No, they're viewing it as, if this goes under, it takes everything I care about with it. It takes superhero films. And because that seems to be the only thing that makes money in Hollywood anymore, it takes Hollywood and the studios and theaters and Warner Brothers, and people I know will lose their jobs, and people I care about won't be able to make their films anymore because I'm friends with the directors and I'm friends with the screenwriters and I'm friends with the fucking executives. And so, and then on the other side, you have comic book fans who just want that constant drip of comic book films. And guess what? Like any addict, as the quality of the cocaine has gone down, they're still snorting it in mass quantities. That's
and not
the
realizing,
problem.
yes.
Like,
there still has to be standards.
And these are the same people that we talk about with Marvel can't acknowledge that, dude, Marvel has declined. The storytelling in Marvel has declined. These same people say, but it's the idiots saying, but if we don't give them our money, they won't keep making it.
Oh my God, which I hate that statement. If you don't go and watch this, if you don't support this, then you guys won't ever get any more from the studio again. They won't make any more.
Emperor Goodwin says, pre-chanting, make cocaine great again. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's a silly analogy, but
no, it's a valid.
When you consume things and you can't acknowledge, like, dude, this isn't, if you go to a restaurant and the last couple of times it's giving you food poisoning, but you can't stop going there, there's a problem. You need to stop going.
There's a problem with you. And we've talked constantly about the fact that the quality of film in theaters has been going down.
And across everything, by the way.
Yeah. Not just superhero movies, across everything. And what people accept has been lowered and lowered. Standards have been lowered.
What passes for dialogue, what passes for cinematography, what passes for VFX, all of that is going down across the industry. And yet there's been this narrative that Superman, you weren't allowed to say, hey, there's a trend. Less people go to theaters. Writing's gotten worse. You couldn't acknowledge trends. And I think dude, go watch the number of reviews, kind of back to Emperor Goodwin's point of the fear that these reviewers have. Go watch the number of reviews that there's two types of sad reviews. There's the sad review of people who are so afraid to just say how they feel. They have to give caveats, having to say, like, I'm no Snyder bro, because they're worried that they'll be dismissed. Bro, if someone's going to dismiss you, they're dismissive. Who cares? Who the fuck cares? Because someone with that mindset is looking for a reason to not take your opinion seriously. They're looking for an excuse. So don't care about those people. They've already made up their mind. They're just looking for validation. There's also the people who they give the 10 good things and then the 10 superficial good things. And then the one should be a negative review, bad thing. And you see this all the time. It's, look, Did this film need to be longer? Yeah. Why? Well, because they didn't really develop any of the characters, and it was really hard to care about any of the characters. But did I like David Corenswet? Do I like the chemistry that they have? Yes. Did I wish there was more of it? Yes. So the thing you liked, you didn't get enough of. And the things that I didn't like, there was a lot of. It's like, was it jarring? Was the editing not great? Was the pacing a little bit off?
And then you'll hear the excuse thrown in there. You're like, well, I'm looking forward to what they'll do next time.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but we're grading this film.
And we don't do that, right? We don't sit there and give leeway based on what may come, because that's not what we're delivered. And so that is a problem. So that's another form of just really, really, it's a problem. It's a near useless form of discussion, because those people will then sit there. It's like, but because of the potential this has, it's a 9 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
That's just such a stupid fucking thing, dude. What did you see on screen?
Yeah.
Again,
did you enjoy the film? And then you'll hear people say, like, I really liked Mr. Terrific. I liked the arc that Lois Lane goes through. I liked Baby Joey. And then be like, it's an 8 out of 10. I'm like, okay, but you completely skipped Superman. And you're like, and then they'll be like, they really like him as a character.
Yeah. Like, and I don't think you need to even evaluate it just as a Superman film, because that will be something that some people say, hey, no, as a film, it's not a Superman film, so it doesn't need to be great as a Superman film, except that it was promised as a Superman film. I'm just saying as the quality of the film in general. But then there's the worst form of kind of broken like discourse surrounding this film, which is the multi-panel, in which you see a self-policing, and look out for this, and let me know if you've seen it already, a self-policing of observation, innocent observation. I went to see Superman, and it was pretty silly. And they're saying that as a positive. And then boom, somebody else on the panel immediately try and curtail that. But it's not too silly. But it's not a joke. He doesn't make a joke of the characters. And that betrays the fact that they're aware of the narrative surrounding Superman, that they're aware of the pushback that is going to come to this film, and they're trying to navigate a press conference. That's not a review. That's propaganda. You want to pop one of those?
Yeah, let's get into this.
Yeah.
Saw someone in the chat ask, was Superman a great movie, though?
Yeah, let's hit through some of the comments.
It's just gang movie. My favorite film, part of the film was when it was on screen.
Yeah.
No one will praise a bad meal by talking about the high quality of one of the ingredients.
That's a perfect analogy, yeah. Or perfect, it's not an analogy, but yeah, 100%. You can't say, oh, well, the ingredients were there, but it was burnt, dropped in on the ground, and when it came to me, I could see that they'd gotten the freshest zucchini for this ratatouille, or whatever. Like, no, you just it's trash.
What's up, Jim Stormcrow? So I was told yesterday that no one cares about the effects of inflation. Man of Steel made $668 million. So if Gunn made clear $700 million, he will have beaten Man of Steel. Make it make sense. So you want to start there?
Talk about the money.
Well, that's foolish.
Yeah.
That it doesn't beat Man of Steel. Then they can say that if they like. It's not factually correct.
I mean, they're saying it only needs to make 500, so it doesn't even hit the uninflated number. We did a whole video being like, what's the number? And the lie at the time was it didn't even make 700, which would have been more than Man of Steel. And everybody's like, that's just not conceptually true. You're going to lose a lot of people if you say, hey, this Superman film made less than the Superman film that everybody hates, and you try and say, oh, it's really, really good, though. Because, by the way, let's just play this out and try and deduce what it will mean. This film continues to have its exceedingly high Rotten Tomatoes score. Like, absurdly high Rotten Tomatoes score. Filled with reviews of listing all the flaws that the film has, but still certified fresh. Audience scores that seem like they were written by a higher newfound intelligence. I won't call it AI. Just giving the most weird disjointed takes, but just seamless 5-star reviews. At the same time, it's the only film they've ever reviewed. Or you go and you check the reviews and there's nothing but 5 stars, except the things that culturally we're told to hate, like Am I Racist, which is half a star, or Rebel Moon, which is half a star. It's just weird that these people would only see the things that everybody likes and then see like the 2 things that you're supposed to hate. You know what I'm saying? It's weird behavior. If it hits high scores with that, like Suicide Squad did by James Gunn, and then makes less money than they expected to, the narrative should be that the James Gunn fandom is not as big as we thought it was. That actually it would prove James Gunn right. Because James Gunn, a couple days ago, did an interview where he said there was a time with Marvel when they could pump out slop, where everything, what do you say, you got 600 million?
Yep.
Just a 600 million booster seat, and just mid films would make $600 to $700 million. And we said, by the way, that is a very precise number, because if he were to say like 600 to 800, then his films would fall in there. And so I think he purposely, like, dude, of course you're not going to say, everybody gets a gold star if you've got a gold star on your fucking chest. You're like, no, everybody gets a participation trophy, whatever. So if that happens, you have to say there's something to that. He's absolutely right. And that his Guardians films were lifted by the general hype that was Marvel, especially the first one. And then by the end, like, Marvel had fallen into such a decrepit state that, yeah, it was like his films were better than a lot of the shit that was being pumped out, but that he's never been this mass appeal director. And again, if you've seen his films, you'll know he's never been a mass appeal director. He himself, in an interview a while ago, said that he never thought he'd be able to make big budget movies. He always thought he was going to be on the outside looking in, making his low budget, weird films, a lot of which I enjoyed. But that's who he was. And I think you can see from James Gunn's discussion how bitter he is, because he hated Tim Burton's Batman. He hated Christopher Nolan's Batman. He hates things that are celebrated in the fandom. Mm-hmm. And again, his opinion is his opinion. You want diverse opinion. You want people who are artists who like things that other people don't like. But it always came across kind of like, okay, well, are you going to make something better? And we just found it like, okay, not really. Not really. But I think that there's such a problem with money was used to explain why they had to get rid of the DCEU.
Yes, which is why I feel like people don't understand. That's why it keeps coming up. Money was used to say that the DCEU was not successful, which is why Warner Bros. Did not want to continue forward with that, and they canceled it.
And by the way, arguments, like, I'm not saying I liked Black Adam, but dude, Black Adam got ragged on far more than it should have, especially when you saw the next couple films that Warner Brothers put out. But Black Adam made like 400 million, something in that range,
without a Chinese market.
Without the Chinese market. And there was things at the time with The Rock trying to explain it away. It was cope on his part, by the way, but with this concept of it's going to take time to rebuild it because it had become disjointed. They announced that they were rebooting the franchise. They were rebooting DC, and then still put out the fucking films, spent the marketing money, and then used the failure of the now dead universe to justify that they were right in the first place. Circle. It's a circular, you've given yourself this perfect situation. They're now doing the exact same thing. It's looking like this is not going to be the runaway financial success, or at least they're afraid of it. It might, dude. Maybe. What if it goes on to make $1 billion? What will that say about Warner Brothers? That they don't have faith in this? That they really, no matter what, by the way, you come away with the one true thing is Warner Brothers has no fucking clue what people want.
Yes.
Because either they thought this was going to make a ton of money or they didn't. So either they made something that they knew wouldn't have mass appeal right now, or they thought they did, they got scared, and now they're trying to cope and make it be like, oh, well, it doesn't. Like, no matter what, you're in the middle of bullshit. And again, a large part of the numbers being so low for the projections is you have this film now projected, I think it's projected to make like 130, and people are saying that that's a huge success because people a week ago were reporting that it looked like it was going to make sub 100. Again, they've lowered the bar so much that it was always going to be a success, which is why I said a month or so ago, it's like, no matter what happens with this film, I know what the media's going to say. Smashing records is a newfound success. People love it. It's a runaway hit because every studio ever spins that narrative, no matter what the film. We just saw it with Jurassic World. Jurassic World's not a good film, but they're still sitting there telling you they'll find a record that is broken. Even if it's just, this has been sold to the most people between 5'11" and 6 feet. We've never sold this many. Like, it's breaking records with that demographic, you know?
Well, dude, not that. They said that Superman broke records for its Thursday opening pre-sales, the highest of 2025. But then in fine print, you find out that it includes their Amazon Prime pre-sale tickets. And then it's like, okay, so if you're going to include previous days, why wouldn't you then do that for Jurassic World, which also had stuff on Wednesday? Because
people trying to compare Jurassic Park's Thursday to Superman's Thursday, secretly saying Thursday plus the Amazon preview day, but ignoring that, dude, Jurassic Park made a lot of money on that stupid Wednesday open.
Yeah. So it's not being honest, okay?
But yeah, and I think the reason that they don't want to admit it with inflation is it's twofold.
It's too high.
Go ahead.
Well, no, they don't want the inflation because they'll never make that number. The inflation's like,
they might, dude. This is what I'm saying. They're afraid they won't, dude. The dumber the film this year, the better, son. I've said, and people get so upset, dude. This film speaks to a level of investment of like a Minecraft movie. It's just things happening at a frenetic pace. There's definitely a chance that this will just be the turn off your brain, go see it because there's flashing colors on screen film of the year. But guess what?
It's highly doubtful.
That's not what the fandom said it was going to be. They said that this was going to be, what's the word they use, Katie? What was this Superman film going to be?
Hopeful.
Peak.
It was
going to be peak.
Well, both, but yes.
Which, by the way, have you guys seen the amount of people who, again, go follow and look at the things that people have posted. You can see the trail that this was what was going to be pushed. This narrative that it's better than Christopher Reeve. It started with an enormous amount of bots saying the exact same thing. This Superman looks so good. We haven't seen the film yet. It was just based on the trailers. That he's already my second favorite. I'm willing to make him my second favorite Superman.
Superlative Superman.
Yeah. Followed closely just behind Christopher Reeves, of course, and they always had the of course. And there was tons of people we found that had that verbatim, character for character, that same thing being spammed all over the internet. The second it came out, there's a huge wash of people saying this is the best Superman of all time. They wanted that to be the narrative, that this was better than Christopher Reeve. They planted the seed, and the day it came out, it was so pathetic, guys. They had the Rotten Tomatoes score from like a handful of people, and it said when it was at 90 or whatever from the critics, it goes, oh wow, it's better than Chris Reeve's Superman 78. Like, man, that David Cornstar's Superman is the highest rated, and they just ignored the fact that within an hour it had dropped down below.
It was dropping every hour.
But people were still posting the now irrelevant, the now out of date Rotten Tomatoes score to justify that this Superman was better than Christopher Reeves, because that's what they have to do. They have to create that narrative.
Do you want to touch on this? Because yes, can we all agree that the hate against Jurassic World was manufactured more than ever to make Superman look better? It's okay to not like Rebirth, but gun gunners were acting like it was the second. I'm not going to read that last part, but yes. Yes. Is Jurassic World Rebirth a good movie? No. But is it the worst Jurassic World movie of all time ever made? No.
But they've been bad for a long time as well.
Yeah.
I have no problem with people not liking Jurassic World. But what I do want to touch on, and again, this kind of goes back to the money thing. There's, like Jim Stormcrow pointed out, all these excuses for why this Superman film this can lose Warner Brothers an enormous amount of money. Doesn't freaking matter. Oh, it's the beginning of something. They knew it was going to do well. Okay, well, if it's the beginning of something, where do they make the money? Because the next two projects do not look like they're going to make a lot of money.
And Andy got called out for being given a low blow by just pointing out what their upcoming films are.
Yeah, I didn't pick that slate. Dude, they chose to have Supergirl and Clayface come up next.
Yeah. And then
but the hate against Jurassic World Rebirth, every single thing that you see people complaining about Jurassic World Rebirth is also true of the Superman film.
Yes.
Heavy exposition, characters just stating what they feel. That's in this. Again, maybe that's where we are, by the way. I'm willing to accept that maybe as a culture, that's how things are written. Like, I love anime. Bad anime dubs often have this weird kind of rhythm to it where somebody will be like, oh, Katie, she's got a power level of 52,000, which is higher than Andy, who's got a power level of only 45,000. And because of Katie's higher power level, she'll be able to defeat him because there's a 7,000, whatever. Like there's always like this weird over explanation. I think it's endearing in anime. I don't especially want it in Hollywood, but it's there. And you see that. Like it's a lack of trust in like
the audience to
the
understand.
audience, or just because again, look at anime, like in old anime, there was a lot of times that you had to use a lot of exposition because drawing things is fucking hard. It takes a lot of time, a lot of manpower. And so you have Goku like powering up and you just need to fill the time with just regurgitating. And I love Dragon Ball Z, by the way, but it was a thing as a kid that you just kind of put up with and you recognize now.
Andy using studio math on his lack of power level compared to Katie.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah. And so there's a difference between developing a character and having a character say, I have developed. And so when you had Scarlett Johansson saying, I must have PTSD or something because I lost a person on the last one, people made fun of it. It says it's a notch above, but not much between my mom died in the Amazon studying spiders.
Yeah.
Like Madam Web. Yet, dude, there's equally fucking dumb lines in this Superman film. And I mean, they're fucking atrocious, dude. Some of the things that they say, you're like, that is the most insanely stupid dialogue I've ever heard. And people just announcing things.
But we're supposed to accept it as peak. We're
Yeah.
supposed to accept it as this is a 10 out of 10 movie.
And then the explanation is, oh, well, it's because it's based on a comic book. This is comic booky. So are you going to now go back and say, I did not understand that Madam Web was being comic booky? It's actually good by comparison.
Yeah. Now this, Rob Chuck says, I want Superman 2 to be about collecting his wives, basically Mass Effect 2, but for a harem.
Yeah.
And even the revisionism on this, there's tons of people now trying to say that they hope in the next movie that they retcon this and that they explain away why the message wasn't real. That we didn't.
Let's I don't want to talk about headcanon yet because we're about to go off on the headcanon.
Okay.
I get it, but yeah.
We'll get into
a brief
it.
point, but we're gonna come back to headcanon.
I think that's hilarious. And yes. But also, what's your favorite anime, Andy?
Dude. When I was a little kid, it was Dragon Ball Z. Like all kids, in the 80s, I was bit by that Dragon Ball Z bug. Now, I'm trying to think how old I am. When did Dragon Ball Z come out? No.
And yes, let's go.
But Dragon Ball Z, as I've grown, there's so many good ones. I mean, obviously, like Cowboy Bebop, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, all the good, all the ones that everybody likes and talks about, but especially the one that I kind of come back to aesthetically is Dragon Ball, which is weird because when I was a little kid, I didn't think it was as cool as Dragon Ball Z, but it's the one that I think is the most charming. I love Dragon Ball, old school fucking.
Currently, Solo Leveling is my favorite.
Yeah, Solo Leveling is amazing. Yeah.
Do you want to bring up this? Yeah. So, guys, anything we don't get to today, we are going to do another live stream tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central Time.
And we have a Discord, guys. Join the Discord because after this, we're doing our watch party. I don't know if you guys are enjoying this. I'm actually enjoying this more free flow, shoot the shit with you guys in the comments. A little bit of ranting on my part, I guess. But we have a section for like suggestions in the Discord. If people want to throw in some topics for tomorrow's, I'd be totally down. I could go read those.
Yeah.
If you want to join the Discord and put some suggestions in there.
And Tish makes a good point. Yeah. Supergirl is a movie about an abrasive drunk from a race of space tyrants who can't take care of a dog. How is that supposed to make money? Because they do not show her in the best light at the end of the film, yet somehow that's supposed to make you interested enough in seeing her movie alone.
Because just like this film with Crypto was supposed to be that, his dog is barely trained.
Yeah.
His dog's like tearing things apart. His dog's naughty. I have a naughty dog. He's just like me. I'm assuming they hope that you'll have a bunch of women be like, oh, she's a drunken mess. She's just like me. So, by the way, shout out to Warner Brothers for the representation of like
modern women,
giving sloppy drunken women finally a beacon of hope.
Like what? And since we're over, we'll do it tomorrow. It'll be much easier to like break down the film and each of the things. Because yesterday we even It was a little bit more all over the place of just going
yesterday
off
I would
questions.
say, and Terrace, I would say yesterday was characterized more by pushing back against the lack of integrity we're seeing in like the discussion surrounding Superman.
And pointing out the
Today,
hypocrisy.
yeah, today is a slightly different vibe, and I'm assuming that as our disappointment in people like settles, it will get more. Yeah.
So I promise we'll go over actual like
Yeah.
pieces of the film tomorrow.
Yeah.
And Draconis, thank you so much for the 5 whole My DualShock memberships. Adding to the community, homie. I appreciate it. And I promise.
Thank you so much, Draconis.
Yeah.
We'll hit a couple super chat bumps once we get through these topics. I did, yeah. So,
Oh, and then Josh said, was Supergirl also told to sleep around, or just the man was?
by the way,
What?
I guess we should talk about the headcanon and how stupid it is.
I think that's what
Yeah,
we should end
yeah.
with. Yeah.
Well, no, because I don't know. Let's do it now.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be other stuff because they're putting out great things. I'll be right back. I'm going to get another edgy drink. But
Anaima, no, you know, Katie, you want to grow up and be a drunk.
but make your point about the
Goodness,
problem
no.
with the headcanoning.
So to that point, Josh, no, they don't even address it. So if I find it extremely odd that once Supergirl enters the Fortress of Solitude, Superman doesn't even address her like, hey, I finally figured out the message. Why didn't you tell me? Or like, why didn't we know ahead of time that my parents and clearly so all of Krypton wanted us to escape Krypton and live and just take over Earth? And ask her, like, was that her mission all as well to go to a different planet and take over, or was she supposed to also help him spread their seed on Earth? Like, I don't know. It's not addressed at all. Hold on 1 second, you guys.
Oh, notice how Katie turns off the thing because she doesn't want you to see that she wears the ugliest pants in the world when we do streams. Peter and I are always telling her, like, dude, what are those? Oh. Yeah, so Terrence says, yesterday was the dam bursting. This is a bit calmer. Tomorrow we'll do film breakdown as people have woken up. Yeah, no, and I think that was kind of what we've been trying to get to is if we had first just talked about the film, we were running into so much dishonesty and resistance that there's no point. Like to do and dude, like there are a lot of great reviews out there. Jeremy Johnson's great review. A lot of people like we follow on Twitter. You can go check. Like we've been kind of just hitting people's and reposting reviews that are good and have integrity. But the pushback from the dishonest side of the internet has been so strong that to not address it probably would have been a waste of time. Here, Katie's back, guys. Hit the comment right about there.
Okay, we should go through the film again, like parts they could have capitalized on. For instance, Lex turning the public against Superman and how Superman would find a resolution to this dilemma. I agree.
Start that comment. I'm gonna write that down. That
Awesome.
might be just a really cool video in general because we talked about some ranking stuff as well the other day with Terrace.
Yeah.
Rocket Raider says I ate up the ending scene with Supergirl. Why?
I was
Like-
like, were you sexualizing her?
Yeah.
How
I hope
dare
you
you?
weren't- I hope you weren't Rocket Raider.
Yeah.
Because that's not allowed.
Tish said it also ruins any potential appearances of Brainiac. Nobody will care about Kandor given what they did with the Kryptonians.
So with Supergirl, and so okay.
And to Rob Chuck, 100%, I literally brought this up yesterday. How is she still drunk if they say she has to go to red planets, which, by the way, they exposition dump and have Superman say it. Like, hey, yeah, she has to go to red planets so that she can get drunk because we can't get drunk on a yellow planet sun. But then when she's in the Fortress of Solitude, she's still super sloppy. Like, homegirl's wasted. Makes no sense.
People are saying Katie's not wearing any pants, so you need to stand up and show them.
I'm wearing pants. They're
show
ugly
them
pants.
how ugly the pants.
No, I don't
You have
want
to because
to.
I don't want people thinking that we're streaming with you not wearing pants.
Pantsless.
It seems
Ew.
unsanitary.
They're army colored pants. They're
They're
gross.
They're camo.
It's
And they're so tacky.
it's ugly, okay? They're
Look at
ugly
these
pants.
tacky ass pants.
Don't worry about
Katie
my
wants to be
pants.
half invisible.
Don't worry about my pants. They're
The people are worried about the pants. There are concerns about your pants.
they're just ugly pants. Chill out.
Yeah.
Is this really what we're doing
That's what I
here?
said, yeah.
Oh my
I
goodness.
love it. Everybody's like, ew.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. Like, anyway, let's move
Thank you.
on.
Thank you. I'm at home. Why would I get... People are just being stupid. Oh my gosh. Okay, moving on.
So let's first do the headcanon because it's all kind of part of it. I see Leon from the New Geeks. What's up, Leon? How you doing, brother? Headcanon. Before this film ever came out, there was a slew of people defending things that didn't line up with the narrative that Warner Brothers was trying to manufacture. So one of the narratives is that James Gunn is a comic accurate director. No, he's not. Never has been. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I don't personally, my opinion, it shouldn't matter. I think people are here to adapt things. I've never looked at an adaptation as being a replacement for. So when someone does a live adaptation, a live action remake, I don't want it to be a substitute for the original. I want it to be different enough to have creative worth. And I also like it to be good enough to make people want to go see the original, you know?
And also close enough for everyone to, the idea that we all agree on is who the character should be.
Yeah. Just like I feel like a live action shouldn't be a remake for, shouldn't replace an animated thing, because animation is art in its own right, and it allows you to tell stories in a different way. That's valuable. Culturally, that's valuable. Same thing with books. A book should not prevent someone from going and reading. Like, you watch Dune, I want you to now go want to read Frank Herbert's work. I don't want you to sit there and be like, oh, well, I've seen it. Okay. And same with comics. I don't want someone to be like, well, I've seen Superman, the comic on screen, so I don't need to, I'm not interested in going and reading the comic and discussing it.
But I would also point out that for some reason, it kept being said
that he was a comic accurate director. He's the most comic accurate director.
Thank you. So it has to be addressed now because it's what the film was being propped up by. Because it was consistently said that this was the most comic accurate Superman film we were ever going to get.
Yeah.
Now that the film has come out, though.
We said, on what evidence?
Yes.
So, as people who are bigger fans of Guardians of the Galaxy point out, and I'm not a big Guardians of the Galaxy fan I like the movies, but dude, that's not how Star-Lord is. He's not a man-child. He's like...
Same with Peacemaker. That's not how
and that's not Peacemaker at all. That's James Gunn's Peacemaker.
Which people were fine with, okay?
Yeah, I have no problem with if he wants to reinterpret a character, it's his own thing, but then you can't have the false claim that he is a comic accurate director. He made his own shit up, dude. He's a self-insert who uses comics to tell the stories that he wants, and they are a shell
of what the comics are.
What he tends to do is not significantly different from what like a Leslie Headland did with The Acolyte. The difference is I don't think that James Gunn hates the comics he adapts, but it's still a vehicle for him to do whatever he wants, using the popularity of what's going on in movies right now. If James Gunn, like so many directors, wants to tell a story about X, he will scour the comics, find enough evidence of that existing, even if it's not from a popular run, to excuse that he was going to do it anyway.
Now, Rocket Bear, good point. Yeah, did James Gunn say it was going to be accurate, or did the fans say that? Both,
but especially the fans. And this is the other big problem. The internet was filled, and this is why we're doing this series. The internet was filled with people lying on James Gunn's behalf so he wouldn't have to.
And then he put out tons of photos and marketing material of him, David Cornsweet, and Lois Lane reading comic books.
To make you think that, he's reading the same comics that I like, therefore he's going to make the thing I like. And by the way, the comics, a large part of it was people saying, he's going to go based on All-Star Superman. Okay. No, he didn't. It's not.
But now we've reached the point where, since the film is out and it's very obvious, it is not a comic accurate portrayal of Superman. There is people on behalf of James Gunn.
Well, don't say comic accurate, because that falls into the other dishonest debate of there is no comic accuracy.
Fine. There's
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that's what you're going to get called on, because now people who were using, again, other directors, work and tearing it apart for lacking comic accuracy while ignoring the huge problems with claiming James Gunn was comic accurate, are now saying, actually, it turns out comic accuracy doesn't matter at all because comics evolve and who adds to the comics and they change. It's like, I agree with that. Why didn't you agree with yourself 5 years ago, 10 years ago? Why are you changing now?
Yeah. Why is it
Yeah.
the metric changed now? Why does it no longer matter for this movie? And
Yeah.
that's the dishonesty we're fucking talking about. I'm tired of having arguments with people where people will nitpick and delve into specific movies that they don't like and be like, well, that's not comic accurate.
Yeah.
I don't like that scene because that would never happen with that character.
Hit Joshua Wax's comment. That is so. Thank you so much, dude. He says James Gunn is comic accurate. Early Superman writers just failed to follow James Gunn's Superman lore. It sounds so funny. And again, a lot of people who've never read 1984,
Yeah.
you just say, this is like 1984. But that is actually like the revisionism of 1984. Like, we've always been at war with East Asia. James Gunn's always been Superman's always been like this. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Because in 1984, you see the spirit of humans to want to conform and the willingness to give up their own agency to make that work.
And so, yeah, and that's what I'm saying, guys. This isn't the argument of whether or not who's the most comic accurate director. Is James Gunn the most comic book accurate director? Because I don't think anyone really is. And I think some people are saying, like, Sin City is the most comic book accurate movie, probably.
Yeah. Right. People act like comics are 10 out of 10 Bible scriptures.
Yes.
Again, then read the comics. Yeah, like we don't.
Because
And-
if you're going based off that, technically, for Fantastic Four, it is comic accurate because Shia LaBeouf does exist in the comics.
And we don't accept that shit with the
Marvel
anymore, but we're going to accept it with
James Gunn.
And it's because they're compromised. They want to like James Gunn. They want to spin the narrative that James Gunn's the greatest comic book director of all time. But he doesn't have the money and success to prove it. And he doesn't have the acclaim to prove it. So with no evidence, James Gunn manages to be the greatest of all time. It's a wild phenomenon.
So whoever made this count, appreciate you. I love how I have Katie's glass eye, now Katie's pants.
That actually looks like it's a series of your glass eyes made into a pair of pants. The
This
John
is-
Cena pants.
This is insane. You
Um,
can't see me. Appreciate you. I don't know who that is, but thanks.
yeah, Jacob Ironside, Joshua Wax, they did not call Superman Gunnerman.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, or Superman robots, I think is ridiculous, but whatever. Just kind of says things.
No, that's in the comics. Again, that's just something
It's
that
foolish.
people are like, but it's called Superman robots. It's like, dude, the thing is,
Innate.
a lot of times people adapt that stuff and ask yourself, do you think the general public will see him say Superman robots and think that that's cool? Do you think they'll think it's lame? Do you think it's lazy? And that's the thing about an adaptation. Look, when we saw Denny adapt Dune, he took out some of the weirder stuff that I really, really like. But I was like, that's not going to go well. I understand it needs to be successful. It's not going to go well if Dune has minutes dedicated to people thinking about what the other person's probably thinking while the other person denies what the other person's thinking. That's not going to go well.
Yeah,
You know?
the droids wear capes.
Yeah.
Yeah, weird. That's the thing. And I'm sure, and then that's the other thing, guys, that we consistently run into. Just because it's in the comics doesn't mean it transfers well to screen. And just because you can be like, well, that scene was in the comics doesn't mean it's good.
And Virgo says Katie's Pants have now hit number 3 on the weekend box office. It does sound like the type of low effort shit that Pixar would make now. Doesn't
Katie's
it?
Pants. Yep.
Like, dude, let's make a Pixar film. It's called Katie's Pants, and it's literally the shit you have in your pants, like a little bit of lipstick, some coins, and all those things are
Keys.
real. And it's like Toy Story, but with the shit you have in your pants.
It's
You know?
ridiculous. It's retarded. I know.
Someone
So
at
there's
Pixar's like, that's just lazy enough to fucking work.
there's too many DC Marvel comics to be 100% accurate unless you're adapting a specific graphic novel and only telling
Yeah.
that story. Yes.
Which I actually would be very interested in seeing adaptations of specific comic runs. Like, that would be interesting, you know? But to be comic accurate, by the way, if you're comic accurate and your comic accuracy is plucking from multiple comics, you do run to the problem of in validating all comic runs, there are times that they contradict one another. I think it has to be, yes, you're forming a new form of continuity in canon, which I have no problem with. It's the fact that the people that should have applied that to things like Man of Steel previously did not, because they actively wanted to hate that.
Yeah. All right, guys.
See what Tara says.
T put 20 minutes. We got 10 minutes left until we have
put
to.
your last Superman questions in, guys. I do want to finish, and we ended up finishing on it. The idiot headcanon, guys. Let's talk about some idiot headcanon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he has shit in his pants. It sounds even worse as a Brit. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes, and this.
I should have said all these stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, some comics don't translate into movie medium. No.
Yep. And they shouldn't be there to replace, right?
Yeah.
Um.
Okay, I'm not.
Here, hit that one. Yeah.
Yes, Tony said Angry Joe, who's the biggest Superman fan of all time, said the 4-ish comics that the film is inspired by are all light years better than the film, and that the film is 10% as good as the comics. So there you go.
So did James Gunn fall short? Yeah. I think that any rational person would say that he did fall short. And then Emperor says, idiots and their cannons are always a menace. I like that. That should be a shirt, you know, idiots with their cannons, you know, it's just a dumb boy with head cannon. But no, so the head cannon, and this is a spoiler. So if you care, it's a spoiler.
I don't think they do. But
you've been warned. In this film, there is a moment where the film opens with this Clark being very invested in his Kryptonian heritage. He actively listens like ASMR to his parents talking to him in Kryptonian, telling him that they love him. That's cool. It soothes him. But it's corrupted. The engineer gets there, and the engineer is able to uncorrupt it and get the rest of the file. The rest of the file is Jor-El saying, we want you to, go to Earth, be a conqueror, breed with the women of Earth, take people and
take many wives
forcibly, and his mother saying, be merciless to anyone who opposes you. This is the catalyst of the film. It's the most important part of the film because it's what turns people against the film. And in this loose continuity of why Lex Luthor
it's not what turns people against films. It's what turns people against Superman.
It turns people against Superman. In the loose continuity, in the Looney Tunes-esque way that all these dominoes have to fall, Lex Luthor is able to use that to justify going after Superman. By the way, what's up, Kata? How you doing, bro? I saw him in the chat.
Yes, the Jor-El thing is dumb as fuck.
And so I appreciate people who can acknowledge that's fucking stupid. It's going to be upsetting to a lot of people. It breaks canon for a lot of people. There will be people who say, but it's happened before. But then there'll be people who say, like, where it happened before is actually Brainiac. Like, it doesn't matter. Because in this film, when nobody challenges it, by the way, Superman himself says, I never saw the rest of that. I never saw that they told me to have a harem of women to breed with and to spread my superior genetics. And when he even goes to insinuate that it might not be real, the person that we are given as the expert in technology,
the smartest person.
Yeah. He says, no,
I know.
It absolutely is real. It is 100% real. They wouldn't fuck this up. The film progresses under the assumption that that is correct. Not only that, the film hinges on developing his humanity on that, because the film ends with Clark saying the exact same line, which was a cheap line of, they asked him, do you want to listen to the video of your parents? And he goes, yes. And they say it soothes him. And now it shows the Kents, which again is a course correction from the one scene in Man of Steel where Clark said he found his people, and people will use that as say, see, he doesn't get it. He's supposed to be human. That's in this too, by the way, because he's like any orphan has his birth parents too. So that is used to say, look how human this Superman is. He chooses humanity, but he actually doesn't. If you want to get down to that, his Kryptonianness is vilified, and therefore he rejects a villainous form of Kryptonian, Kryptonian heritage. Because that doesn't work, it's on so many levels that doesn't work, and people on some level know it doesn't work. What you're hearing people say who can't cope with the fact that it's a bad attempt. It's going to lose some people, and it falls short of all the things that are all the lore, all the mythology of James Gunn. What people are saying is, oh, well, I don't believe it, he will find out in the next one that the Kryptonians aren't evil and that it was fate. Well, first of all, the film does nothing to do that. Quite the opposite. It wants you to believe it. The story beats of this hinge on him rejecting the evil of the Kryptonians and choosing humanity. So even if in the next one he says, oh, I found out that my parents are good, how does that make the ending of this film look?
Like shit.
It makes it look like he lacked faith in his parents. He looks like a dick. He looks like somebody who the second, I mean, and again, if this film is about cancel culture, it would be Superman himself being so weak-minded that he didn't see the truth of who his parents were through the lies, and he dogpiled them too.
On top of the fact that it makes Mr. Terrific look like a retard.
Yeah, and it would make Mr. Terrific look like an idiot who, instead of doing his own research, followed blindly the authority of others. Which again, I mean, that might be the most honest story of our time. So maybe it's a genius move. But in reality, it was just a cheap attempt at saying, look how human, to get the audience to say, look how human this Superman is, which is fine. But to have to headcanon it, that's never been applied. And I think I saw Emperor Goodwin say earlier, it's like, yeah, maybe in Zack Snyder's Justice League 2, we'll find out that Jonathan Kent didn't die. Maybe he was picked up by a tornado and dropped in Wonderland, or in what's it called? In Oz.
I'm done with you. Yeah.
That's not what we do with films.
No, I'm saying like the number of people who
person.
are like, oh, I accept it's not a big deal because more than likely I'm hoping in the next film that they make it that it was actually Brainiac who tampered the message and blah, 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 or Lex Luthor's always been a liar. Why would we believe him? That makes no sense because in the film they explain that Mr. Terrific said it's real.
Yeah. Agris Same says, love you guys, but this mid-movie doesn't deserve this much attention. It is a mid-film. It's not, if you've listened to it, we're not talking about this film. We're talking about the fact that this film has, like, made obvious a lot of dishonesty, a lot of falsity on YouTube and in the media and just in general.
And also
that's
the
bigger
influencers and all the other, yeah.
I didn't even get to. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the problem of influencers in marketing today. I'm gonna write that down because I wanted to get
influencers versus critics.
Why they're both fucking stupid. And
how did two backward hillbilly rednecks raise someone like Clark Kent? I don't believe it.
That's something that I've also heard people say, that the reason he doesn't have an accent is because he's Kryptonian. I mean, dude, if you think about how stupid that is, if you've ever met somebody who, by the way, just in living in America for the time that I have, you naturally, if you love people, if you like people, your accent merges. It's a phenomenon. Like if you see a bunch of kids who've moved all over the world, when I'm talking to my South African friends, I sound a lot more South African. When I'm talking to my British friends, it starts to sound kind of British. You kind of merge with wherever you are. It's actually a symbol of you caring psychologically about people. And people who never lose their accents tend to be people who do not
care about being understood.
No. It's if you like the company you keep, you merge your accent a little bit at least. People who don't, they've proven that it's actually a little bit of like, oh, you're just not assimilating.
Yeah, this film is an excellent media study. And how dumb is that statement? Yeah, him being Kryptonian would not stop him from having an accent. That's ridiculous.
Tara says it doesn't sound British. I'm not talking about when I'm talking to you, Tara. I'm talking about when I was living in the UK.
Oh, he put you on blast. But no, you do sound South African when you're not around me and other people who are our friends who are American. Carl B, can we get a list of the truth tellers? Off the top of my head, who's here yesterday that you were saying something? Sean O'Rourke does it.
Really yeah. Sean O'Rourke gave a great take. We need to hit him up.
Yeah,
dude. I mean, a lot of our friends. Dude,
Badger gave
all of our friends are being incredibly truthful. It's been so heartening because it's told us the good company that we're keeping. People who wanted to be hopeful going into it, and then saying, "Hey, it didn't live up to my expectations." We were on a panel last night on Angry Badger. Every single one of our friends was sitting there, and the complaints that the worries they had that came true, they still had problems with. No problems there. But you'll know them. We talked about it. You'll see I'm not going to call out specific people, at least not today, but you'll see people who have changed their arguments. Dude, there are major YouTubers, major industry people who have built their identity on a specific philosophy of how to grade
Film.
and rate films who are denouncing their own philosophy because all of a sudden it doesn't
fit.
work because they like this film and they can't say, I like it, but it's not great.
Yeah.
Like you can like something and have it not be great. That's totally cool. I like a ton of garbage films. But when I start trying to compare them to great films, all of a sudden that betrays that you may not be able to validate your opinions without having to assign it a level of quality that is unbefitting it.
Yeah.
Okay, it says, I liked it, but know all of the flaws about it. Yeah. You can. Yeah. I have no problem with people liking it. That's the thing.
Well, no, and that's what we were arguing yesterday. Enjoying something and it being good are two very different things.
And knowing Kata, I'm sure it probably pisses him off too. Like, dude, like I'm sure you get annoyed when you see people like pretending that shit's not there, or like, dude, the crazy headcanoning that we we're just talking about, like saying, well, to me, this is what this meant. Dude, I saw there's a whole guy on, I almost reposted it because I've just been reposting stupid shit. Going through scene by scene, anything that could be controversial, explaining why we just essentially we don't know yet. And
we don't know why we don't
yeah,
understand it.
Yeah, we won't know until the next film. And it's the
and I promise you, this film is not highbrow. It is not something so out
that deep. Yeah,
yeah.
It's an extension of the just wait for it to come out. And this is why we always call out those people, the wait till it comes out before you talk about it. So wait till I give them my money until I talk about it. So you must pay to have discourse. You can't go based on their marketing. Now it's, well, you can't talk about this film until you've paid for this film and the sequel. So until they answer that, you can't have a negative complaint. Let's say hypothetically that the next three films don't go especially well. And this is not against James Gunn, but it's just the industry. Let's say that the takeaway from the industry is this film doesn't, like, even with their revisionism, doesn't make a ton of money. Fantastic Four doesn't make a ton of money. And Doomsday comes out and it doesn't make $1 billion. And the industry says, bro, we just need to take a break on fucking superhero films. And we just dial back. And we never get a Superman 2 with David Corenswet. And this is what you're left with. How will you explain things then?
We're about to close out because we do have a members only watch party that we have to do in like 15 minutes.
And we heard you. We're not avoiding it. We've been talking about how we're going to rate that because I think it needs to be rated. Yeah.
On a different scale of.
Don't say different. No,
I'm sorry.
A true scale
true metric
that we apply to everything. And that's the problem,
Yeah. This is the Discord link, by the way, if you're a member and you want to join. And we will be starting over there in about 15 minutes. And we will see you guys over here. Thank you to everyone who came out and watched this tonight. We appreciate you guys. Conversation was super entertaining. We'll be delving deeper into the different scenes from the film tomorrow, as well as answering Tony's question about against other DC films.
And if you guys want to just chill out and watch a film that's, I think, just a lot of fun. Kill Bill Volume 1. Then stop by and join us on the Discord. And like we said earlier, if you want to contribute any thoughts about Superman on the Discord, I'll go through tonight and read them and try and pull some of those as some of the topics for tomorrow.
It's going to be a little bit more structured.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys tomorrow or in 15 minutes for Kill Bill. And here's the clip for everyone who did the super chats and the other stuff.
Yeah. Thank you to everybody who sent super chats.
And Tony, I don't think you're nagging. I appreciate you putting up the question.
No, thank you. We do forget sometimes. And also it's just, this is a new format that we're trying to do. So I appreciate
100%.
any input you guys have.
Yeah. So we'll see you guys in a minute.
Let me get it like wow. It's like right now. It's like wow. It's like